Nico Iamaleava has committed to the University of Tennessee. What that means for the program, recruits that could follow in the class of 2023 overall. Tennessee gets its 5-star, and we'll break it all down here on a Tuesday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into a Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. It is your team every single day. That is the Tennessee Volunteers. I am your host, Eric Kane. Glad to have you guys along for the ride. Today's episode, it is brought to you by StatHero. StatHero is reshaping the way that you play fantasy sports. Dozens of house-based games to play daily. No sharks, no funky props. Just your skill versus the lineups that you choose. Sign up today at stathero.com/lockedon. Oh, we got a big show coming up. Tennessee Tennessee gains the commitment of a 5-star quarterback, Nico Iamaleava from Long Beach, California, where he attends Poly High School. A 5-star pro-style quarterback. Again, this is a potential program changer for the University of Tennessee. We'll discuss all that. We'll catch up with Austin Price. He joined Sports 180 on 99.1 The Sports Animal and talked about Nico committing to Tennessee. We'll play some audio from him in segment 2 from that radio show. And then finally, we'll get into some Twitter Tuesday questions to wrap up a Tuesday edition here of Locked On Vols. If you're new to the show, welcome to it. Guys, you can find this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. Completely free every weekday morning. It's available. Plus, it's on YouTube. We are less than 50 away from 1,000. We are so close, less than 50 away from 1,000. So continue to support the show on YouTube if you wouldn't mind there. Thanks so much. If you're new to the show, appreciate you hanging out. I do radio in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I write for the rival site that covers the University of Tennessee. That is volquest.com. All right, what do you need to know about Nico? I know with a lot of you guys listening right now and watching right now, you don't follow recruiting. I was never a recruiting guy until I started working in the industry, until I started covering recruiting. And it took me a little while to kind of find my groove and decide that I liked it. And I do like it. It's interesting, right? And there's a niche. There's a big-time niche for it. A lot of you guys taking part in this podcast right now do follow recruiting. Probably most of you don't. So let me tell you about who Nico Iamaleava is. And again, that is, I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, but this is what I've been going with for the last couple of months since Tennessee has been really in this race for Nico. Iamaleava. Again, he's a 5-star quarterback, pro-style quarterback, 6'6", about 205 pounds. I don't think he's that heavy. He is a skinny individual. He will have to put on some weight when getting inside the strength and conditioning program for the University of Tennessee for sure. I mean, he is a class of 2023 prospect, meaning he will have a senior football season upcoming this fall. Right now, he lives in Long Beach, California, where he attends Poly High School, and he is a good one. If you look at the Rival site, and depending on where you go window shopping, Rivals, On 3, 24/7 Sports, whatever the case may be. I work for Rivals, so we use Rivals here on this podcast. He's got a Rivals rating of 6.1. That's very, very high. He is the 9th overall prospect in the entire country. He is the 4th rated quarterback in the entire country. Much like the SEC in recruiting rankings, right? You could be 4th in the SEC, but 9th in the country. That's kind of how Nico is in terms of the quarterback and overall prospect rankings. He is the 2nd overall player in the class of 2023 out of California. That is saying a lot. Talk about recruiting hotbeds. California, Texas, Georgia, Louisiana. That's rich. If you are considered the 2nd best prospect out of your state, out of California, that is very, very good. So, Nico, what's this mean for the University of Tennessee? Well, every class has to have a quarterback. Taven Jackson committed to the University of Tennessee pretty early on in the class of 2022, and moving forward, he was the face of the recruiting class. He helped recruit on behalf of Tennessee, trying to get others to join the recruiting class of 2022, and he did a fine job in doing it. Nico Iamaleava now becomes the 5th commit for the University of Tennessee, 4 of which hail on the offensive side of the football. Obviously, he's the highest rated recruit in this class. He's the highest rated recruit of the Josh Heupel era for sure. He joins Nate Spillman, a wide receiver from Nashville, Tennessee, a 3-star offensive lineman from Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Aiden Bussell, a 4-star tight end from Sewanee, Georgia, and Ethan Davis, and a 3-star athlete defensive back, Jack Luttrell from Georgia. Those 5 so far make up comprise the class of 2023 for the University of Tennessee. Since the commitment of Nico Iamaleava, Tennessee, per the Rivals rankings, have jolted up as a team to 9th overall in the country in the recruiting rankings. Keep in mind, too, Tennessee just has 5 commits right now. There are other teams ahead of them that have 10 commits, 12 commits, 13 commits. That's how much weight, figurative weight, that Nico carries in gaining the commitment of a 5-star quarterback. So I found that very, very interesting there. Every class needs a quarterback. Like I said, Nico's now the face of this class. He is going to be recruiting. He is going to be, and we'll talk more on that in segment 2 on who some others that potentially could follow him to the University of Tennessee. But Tennessee gets this done in March. I mean, that's incredible, right? So there are going to be plenty of other junior days. There are going to be plenty of other unofficial recruiting days over the summer. There are going to be, obviously, every home game next year. Nico will be back on campus plenty of times, even though he's from far away. And having Nico on campus, having his ability to talk to some of these prospects in person and do some recruiting on the behalf of Tennessee, that is going to be just huge. You watch his tape, very impressive. He's tall. He can see over the line of scrimmage. He's got a very, very strong arm. He's got good footwork. He can make the throws sideline to sideline, vertical, north and south. He's a tremendous talent for sure. Of course, he will need to get in the weight room and put some meat on the bones. Weighing in at 205, according to his Rivals profile. I'm not sure if that's even accurate. He's a tall guy, so maybe he weighs over 200 pounds, but he is very, very skinny. But there's an adjustment, okay? It doesn't matter if you're a 5-star quarterback, a 3-star offensive lineman, okay? When you leave the high school ranks, don't care where you play, you come to the SEC and join a SEC football program, there is an adjustment period. So be wary. I'm not saying that Nico's going to be a bust. I'm definitely not saying he's going to be an All-American from day one. I think he has a chance to be more of the latter than the former. But there's going to be an adjustment period. It's all about how you put in the work once you get here, how you adjust, how you adapt. And that's going to be key for not only Nico, but for every prospect that Tennessee signs and reels in here, in the past and in the future. But there's so much talent there with Nico Iamaleava. You look at the overall recruiting rankings, the top prospects in the entire country. Again, I mentioned Nico is 9th and the 4th rated quarterback in the class of 2023. The leader in the clubhouse is Arch Manning. He is the top prospect in the entire country, the number 1 quarterback in the class. David Hicks Jr. is a defensive end from Texas. He's the 2nd overall prospect. Malachi Nelson is another pro-style quarterback from California. He is the top prospect out of California. Nico is 2nd. He is the 2nd quarterback in the class, where Nico is 4th. Cormani McClain is a cornerback from Lakeland, Florida. He is 4th overall in this class. Brandon Ennis is a wide receiver from Florida. He is the 5th overall prospect in this class. Dante Moore, another quarterback that Tennessee was very interested in. He's the 6th overall prospect, the 3rd quarterback in the class. And you have Samuel Mpemba, an athlete from Florida, who is 7th. TJ Shannon Jr., who Tennessee actually has an offer out to, an offensive guard from Texas, is 8th. And there comes in Nico Iamaleava, the pro-style quarterback, who is now committed to the University of Tennessee. Nico is only the 2nd top 10 prospect currently per the Rivals rankings who is committed. The other would be Malachi Nelson, the pro-style quarterback, who is already committed to the University of Southern Cal. But that was before the coaching change, so we'll have to see exactly where he stands there. Also, what is this answer? Well, I mean, if you have any questions if Josh Heupel can recruit, I think that should be, set on the back burner right now. I thought he did a heck of a job in the class of 2022. 3 big-time signing day gets, and James Pierce and Tyree West and then Justin Williams. Tennessee finished just outside the top 10 in pretty much every window you shop at, and, somewhere around 5th to 7th in the SEC. It's not great, don't get me wrong, but considering the circumstances and coming in late and for the class of 2022, I thought he finished exceptionally well. But that's the questions moving forward. Can Josh Heupel and the staff recruit? Well, rolling in a 5-star quarterback in the month of March for your upcoming signing class, that is incredible. And there were sure to be other prospects that will follow Nico over the course of the next few months on into signing day in December of 2022. So this is a big deal. I know a lot of you guys have been following this. A lot of you guys have been asking about this on various Twitter Tuesday episodes here on Locked On Vols. This is a big deal. Nico Iamaleava, it's been done for couple of weeks now, if we're going to be completely honest with it, but he made the announcement on Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern time, and just when we took the air for Sports 180, so that was a really, really fun radio show. So more on Nico. What's this commitment mean for the University of Tennessee? Some of those prospects that could follow. We'll play some clips from when Austin Price joined Sports 180 on The Sports Animal. That's coming up here in segment number 2. But I want to remind you guys about StatHero. Anyone else take St. Peter's and now your brackets are busted, right? Yeah, mine's not looking great. I still have 3 of my Final Four teams, but I still got some cash away from my StatHero Pick'em. If you haven't checked out this new platform, you are truly missing out. StatHero single game Pick'ems pits the star players against one another, an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling. Take control back from those handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Start focusing on the players that you know best with a gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, or funky props. StatHero gives you the advantage, resulting in their gamers winning 4 times as often. Why? Well, because StatHero eliminates the mystery about who or what you're going up against. In addition to their pick'em games, they also have dozens of lineups that you can comb through to take on the head-to-head matchups. They simply post a set of players for you to take on with a set of players that you choose. StatHero is the easiest way to get your sports action fix, the simple, sleek gameplay that will have you playing in minutes. This is what daily fantasy was meant to be all about, all right? Go to StatHero.com right now, /LockedOn. Use that promo code LockedOn for a 100% deposit match. You heard right. That's StatHero.com /LockedOn. Use promo code LockedOn for a 100% deposit match. Terms and conditions do apply. Welcome back to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Kane. You can always find me on Twitter @_Kaner. You can find the show on Twitter @Locked On Vols. Guys, thanks so much for making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every day. Just 50 away from the YouTube goal of 1,000. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube, and I swear I will shut up. I promise. It's monetary value for me, guys. You can't help my hustle, right? Austin Price, VolQuest.com, joined Sports 180, me and myself, right? Joel Silverberg and myself hosted it on Monday. And this is right after the news of Nico Iamaleava committed to the University of Tennessee. So I wanted to get AP on there and have him on for a segment. Plenty of great work over at VolQuest.com. Austin Price was, I kid you not, he was on a vacation with his family that had been planned for months at Disneyland. That was a couple of weeks ago, but obviously took some time to go and see Nico, talk to him, interview him one-on-one, get ready for this announcement, and tons and tons of awesome video work, written work. What does this mean moving forward? Brent Hubbs chimed in on that. VolQuest.com, the whole front page is filled with Nico Iamaleava funtoids and awesome stuff to check out there. So if you haven't already, go ahead and check it out. That is at VolQuest.com. Austin Price on the show. We ask him, hey, what's this mean for the program? What's this mean for Josh Heupel? And, what's this mean moving forward? Gaining the commitment of a 5-star quarterback. And Austin gives his answer, and also a very interesting little tidbit he throws in there about another SEC legendary head coach. Give this a listen. This is Austin Price.
Well, it's huge. I mean, the quarterback position is one that, runs the train. I mean, it's a line of scrimmage league, but quarterback can cure a lot of ills, for your program. And so, to get a top-end guy, someone that, that I'm told Nick Saban considers to be the top quarterback in the country, it's a big deal. And, you look at, what Josh Heupel and Joey Halsley and Alex Golesh were able to get done in this recruitment. The fans had a huge, huge say in this recruitment. And make no mistake about it, like their visit here and their visit with their mother, and she's, all prayers go out to her. She's battling cancer. She was able to come in. She wasn't able to come in November. She was able to come in this time. Was just massive because, the outpouring of love for the whole family while they were in town for those 3 days just left such an impression that, in talking to Big Nick, which is Nico's dad, out in Long Beach when I was out there last week, he said, we just got back home and, we just knew. Like, we knew that Tennessee was it for us and for our family. And, Nico's one of 8 kids, and they are really, really, really excited, to kind of, embrace Tennessee as much as Tennessee's embraced them already. And it's just big because he has a huge sway with a lot of these recruits. I mean, Nico's got a lot of swag. I mean, he's the whole pajama bottoms and the sunglasses. And listen, for some old timers out there that don't like that he wears those sunglasses in interviews and stuff, I understand. But understand, like, this kid is as nice a kid as you'll ever talk to. And it's just kind of his, it's his swag. It's his personality. It has no he doesn't mean any disrespect by it or any of that stuff. It's just kind of his way of being cool. And again, as good a kid as they come by, and his younger brother Madden, probably a better kid than Nico is.
Interesting stuff there. You heard, according to Austin Price, he had been told that, the number one quarterback on the board for Nick Saban was Nico Iamaleava, and Tennessee is beating out the likes of Alabama, beating out the likes of Georgia, beating out the likes of Oregon. Now, Arch Manning will play a role in there. Arch Manning will go to one of those three schools, if not Texas or Ole Miss. But found that very, very interesting. More from Austin Price about Nico the prospect. What does he do well on the field? What does he do well off the field? Again, not everybody follows recruiting. They might have heard the name Nico being thrown around a lot here lately. But, who is Nico Iamaleava? What does he do well? Here's AP.
Well, they love that, he's smart. When he came in town, they were able to, talk ball and draw stuff up on the chalkboard. And he did a really nice job of presenting his knowledge of the game, and what he's able to bring in terms of, not just between the white lines, but between his ears. And so, between the white lines, he's special. He's a guy that, others follow. He's a leader. But athletic ability, can really throw it. And, I watched him throw it out there in California, and he can really spin it. He trains with the same quarterback coach that Bryce Young trains with out in California, 3D QB. And, they also work with a lot of NFL quarterbacks as well. They've worked with Drew Brees. They've worked with Tom Brady. So this is something that, he's building himself for. And really, I think the sky's the limit. I don't think he's touched what he can be. It's just about, finding people that can get it out of him.
And then finally, there's going to be a ripple effect here. Maybe it's not today. Maybe it's not this week. Maybe it's not this month. But the fact that Nico is committed to the University of Tennessee, the fact that there is a 5-star quarterback committed to the University of Tennessee, prospects around the country is going to take notice. They're going to say, hey, what about Tennessee? What's over there at Tennessee that made Nico want to go from California all the way to Knoxville, Tennessee? Can he get me to the National Football League? If I'm a wide receiver, do I have a better chance of getting to the NFL with a good quarterback throwing me a football? If I'm an offensive lineman, do I want to be a part of an offense that could potentially take off even more so than it is right now with Hendon Hooker, with Nico Iamaleava in a couple of years? Can I block for that guy? If I'm a running back, knowing that if you have a good quarterback, it's going to open up so many run lanes for you. Do I want to go ahead and be a part of that? Plus, Tennessee's going to be in better position to win with him than without him, right? I don't know if they'll win 10 games. I don't know if they'll win the East. I don't know if they'll win the SEC or be in the college football playoff. I don't know. But you have a better chance with him than without him, in my humble opinion. So, moving forward, who could follow Nico? Who were some prospects that we already know about? Who were some other position groups that might want to follow Nico Iamaleava to Tennessee over the course of this recruiting cycle? Here's Austin Price when I asked him that.
Well, we'll start with those two, because, that was when I asked him out there in California, Carnell Tate, Kyler Casper were the first words out of his mouth, besides his best friend, Jordan Anderson, who's a 2024 receiver. Outside of that, look at Nico. Look for Nico to work with offensive linemen. If you're a quarterback, you want to be protected. But I think he'll work all members of the class. I really do. But I think specifically offense. You look at receivers, he's going to target those guys, and then throw Noah Rogers in there as well, kid out of North Carolina. That Kelsey Pope and Tennessee have done a nice job of recruiting thus far. I would add him to the list because I know Nico will be working him as well.
Again, that's all from Austin Price. Our conversation on Monday's program, Sports 180 on the Sports Animal, 99.1 FM. God, it's like my job. I should be able to have that down. AM 990 as well. A lot of you guys might have caught it live, might have caught the podcast version, but those are some of the answers from Austin Price of VolQuest.com. So a big deal. Any way you want to spin it, a major, major deal. Tennessee getting Nico Iamaleava, the 5-star pro-style quarterback, is going to the University of Tennessee. Now, it's never over in recruiting. You want to hang on to him for sure. I think this day and era with name, image, and likeness, it might be a little easier to hold on to prospects of the high regard whenever you get them committed to your school. But you never know. It's never, ever, ever official until you sign that dotted line. So you cross the T's and dot the I's, right? So a good day for Tennessee. Tennessee starts spring practice today. And yesterday, less than 24 hours prior, it gained the commitment of a 5-star quarterback. So Big news for Tennessee, potentially a program game changer. That is to be determined. A lot is to be determined, but a good day for the University of Tennessee. We'll get into some Twitter Tuesday questions. All you guys want to know about Nico. We'll touch on that a little bit more in segment 3 as we continue to branch off from the basketball conversation. Let that breathe a little bit. We'll come back to it. Don't worry. We'll come back to Tennessee's early exit in the NCAA tournament, unfortunately, but we'll get into Twitter Tuesday questions. Some of you guys want to know about that as well when we return. But it's that time of the year. We're talking college football now. March Madness is happening in college basketball. The tournament is finally upon us. From all the latest odds, contests, player props, BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your sports betting needs and information. BetOnline remains the best spot for your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. They have fantastic future props out there involving the University of Tennessee baseball team in terms of getting back to Omaha, involving Tennessee football, win total in the SEC, Heisman odds. All those futures are at betonline.net. But it's not just football. It's not just basketball. It's your continued source for all your sport wagering information, including live betting options and information about your favorite Las Vegas casino games as well. Head on over to the website today or use that mobile device. Learn more about the trends and all the action. betonline.net. It is where the game starts. We got one more segment left here on this Tuesday edition of Locked On Vols. It has been a fun show when you're talking about your team, your favorite team, the team that you cover. It might choose gaining the commitment of a 5-star quarterback for your recruiting class. So it's been a fun show, and we'll continue to break this down as the days go on for sure. All right, let's get into Twitter Tuesday real quick. Every single Tuesday, you guys take over the show with any questions you guys want. You can always find me at _Caner and at Locked On Vols. We'll blow through these. Jacob Porter wants to know, heard Eric Gray was looking to leave Oklahoma because he wasn't happy there. Is it a possibility that he could potentially come back? And, what's that kind of look like? Well, we'll see. He'll be a graduate from Oklahoma after the semester. We'll see if he wants to enter the transfer portal officially. Tennessee, they got numbers in the backfield now, but still a lot of youth, still a lot of unproven. I think that if the situation will work out with where it's a right fit after meeting with the staff and all that, then Tennessee would still want a veteran running back. Now, Eric Gray kind of fits that mold, right? So I believe I don't think I'm off base by saying I think there's some interest there. Hearing through some back channels on Eric Gray's part, I think there's some interest there and wanting to come back to the University of Tennessee, but we'll have to see how it all plays out. Tennessee's not just going to take a running back just to take a running back. It's got to be a right fit, but he would check those boxes on being an experienced guy and a guy that's got a lot of run under his belt. Let's go to K. Wayne, 1800. And K. Wayne says, Tennessee had great success in the last part of the SEC schedule, but we saw the committee obviously didn't think the SEC was as good as some other conferences. I would beg to differ. I think the SEC, with the exception of Tennessee, was highly regarded by the selection committee. Do you think the committee was right and maybe the SEC wasn't as good as we thought? As a result, we've seen SEC teams struggle against other teams in the tournament. Maybe the SEC wasn't as prepared for the tournament as we thought, or am I overthinking this? No, I wouldn't say you're overthinking this. I would disagree, and maybe it's just the way you phrase it. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. I think the SEC. I mean, Auburn was a 2 seed, Kentucky was a 2 seed, Tennessee was a 3 seed, Arkansas was a 4 seed, right? I think the SEC was highly regarded, by the selection committee. Now, A&M should have got in my opinion. It did not. Of course, LSU got in, Alabama got in, but what's the theme here? I just hit my microphone. Every SEC team has lost with the exception of Arkansas to this point in the tournament. So you can make the argument, and I think it's warranted. You can make the argument that the SEC was overrated this year, and you'd have to hear it out, right? Bruce Pearl said after Auburn lost on Sunday night that it's a horrible look for the SEC. They're going to get crushed by all the media outlets. But typically the SEC just kind of beat up on each other this year, and they all kind of limped into the tournament. I don't know how much I buy that. I think Tennessee was underseeded, to be completely frank. I think Auburn and Kentucky were a little overseeded, to be completely frank. But they're all right around that 2-3 seed line for sure. But not a good showing for the SEC, without a doubt. Not a good showing. And, tournament basketball, listen, we're talking about this on Sports 182. The NCAA tournament, it's good and the bad. Like, you love it because of the madness, right? But also the bad side of that is, where do you ever see a playoff system where you throw 68 teams into a pool and you play, the best of a one-game series? That's what the NCAA tournament is in NBA, in Major League Baseball. In football, it's that. But again, football is a completely different animal. the other sports you play series, right? If Kentucky played St. Peter's again, it would win a 5-game series. It would win 4 times. If it played St. Peter's in the best of a 7-game series, it would win 6 times. Point of the matter is, it didn't matter for St. Peter's. It got them that one time. And again, that's why we love March Madness. So, tournament basketball, all about matchups, all about who's on that night, and it is what it is. That's why it is so challenging to make a Final Four. That's why I think the accomplishments from Mike Krzyzewski, from Calipari, from Izzo. I mean, it's tough to make Final Fours, and they've made multiple Final Fours. So, and for some of those guys, a lot of Final Fours. It's just kind of tough. But I think we can make the argument. You can at least have the discussion that the SEC was overrated this year. I won't say that because I think it was a good basketball league. But you can't argue the results so far. It was not a pretty weekend for sure. We will go to Steven. Steven wants to know if I can find Steven here in my. Oh, here we go. Steven wants to know. We started SEC playing baseball and played a lesser opponent in South Carolina. The question is, if we keep playing as well as we are right now, do you think we have a chance to win the SEC? Absolutely. I think Tennessee has a chance to win the SEC. Pitching. Tennessee has pitchers for days that shine once again against LSU. Drew Beam, the number 3 starter, true freshman. Goodness gracious, he was incredible. Chase Burns, the Friday night starter, has been incredible. Chase Dolander, he hadn't been perfect, but he's leading the league in strikeouts, right? This lineup is leading college baseball in home runs, and it's not even close. I think Mercer's second, and they're 13 home runs back, right? I mean, Tennessee's got pitching, it's got depth, it's got bats for days. It'll get tougher, don't get me wrong. Ole Miss will be tough. That's coming up. Vanderbilt will be tough. That's coming up. Florida's going to be tough. There's the SEC's like, baseball is like the SEC in football too. It's murderer's row. So if they keep playing the way they are, absolutely they have a chance to win the SEC. I'm not going to say they're going to win the SEC right now, but they will be contending for it without a doubt because Tennessee has arms. And it's like the Braves in the 90s. You can never have enough arms, right? You have arms, you have a chance to win. Tennessee has that. All right, another question from Steven. Since Nico signed, I'll say that he committed to Tennessee. He hadn't signed yet, but how many other big recruits do you see following him? Yeah, kind of like Austin Price was saying earlier, some names to watch out for. Cardell Tate, 5-star wide receiver. Kyler Casper, 4-star wide receiver from Arizona. Noah Rogers, 4-star wide receiver from North Carolina. Some key offensive linemen around the country. I think those are the types of players that will want, that have relationships with Nico already, that you could potentially see down the line committing to Tennessee, or at least Tennessee being in the running there. So no doubt about it, there will be others that will follow Nico for sure. Let's go to Tyler, and Tyler chimed in on the Locked On Vols Twitter page, and Tyler said, as I do this in real time, first thing I want to say is the season was a successful for the Basketballs. They're hanging a banner this season. Second, what needs to happen this offseason to keep the momentum up? Obviously consistency, but what else are we missing from this season to help us take that next step? It's tough, man, because I truly do believe. I mean, I thought Tennessee had as good of a chance as anybody to cut down the nets this year. And that's not me trying to play with the home crowd. That's not me. You guys know I am absolutely not biased. You guys know that I call it like I see it. I really do. You're going to lose Kennedy Chandler most likely. We'll see. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, but you're probably going to lose Kennedy Chandler. So BJ Edwards is going to have to come in, pick up those minutes. Zakai Ziegler is going to have to pick up his minutes and run the offense from the point guard position. But you're in a spot to where you potentially return everybody else, right? I mean, Victor Bailey Jr. didn't go through senior days, but he's a role player. Josiah Jordan-James, I would expect to test the waters and come back. We'll see what happens. But if Tennessee loses Triple J, that's a huge blow. But we'll see what happens. Santiago Vescovi, I could see him exploring options of professional basketball overseas. But if I'm picking right now, I say both of those guys are back. So just continue it, right? You'll have 1 or 2 spots open potentially via the transfer portal, through traditional recruiting. Phillips is a 4-star blue chipper that really, really likes Tennessee. He was on campus a little while ago. Just continue to rep and get better, right? I thought Tennessee was in as good as position as anybody to cut down the nets. Obviously fell well short. Tournament basketball stuff. You'll lose John Fulkerson, so you need to get more consistent front court play on the offensive end. I think Olivier Cumwell will help with that. But you've got the guard play, and you have the athletic ability, and you're a good defending team. You'll have as good of a chance next year, in my opinion, as any to run it back as well in terms of having a good season. Last one we'll get into. Eric chimed in on my Facebook page at Caner on Air. Eric chimed in and said, Tennessee seems to be in good shape with Nathan Robinson. Does he project more as a wide defensive end or a strong side defensive end? Eric, Nathan Robinson is a prospect, 2023 class out of Greenbrier, Tennessee. He's played linebacker in the past. He has gotten super big in the last year, really since the offseason began. I mean, he's up to about 270 right now, looking good. He's firm. He's put on some good weights. Saw him at a junior day last month, and yeah, he is packing on the good pounds for sure, in a good way. He's been working hard. Tennessee loves him as a 5 technique. So whether it's strong side, whether it's weak side, that Jaquan Blakely role of last year, that Tyler Barron role he's gonna play this year, that kind of position is where I think Nathan Robinson would fit into this defense. He could play interior if you need to, where the Elijah Simmons, where the Matthew Butler's played this past year, where some of these Amari Thomas's play. He can play inside maybe, but he's more of that, not that Leo spot, but more of that Jaquan Blakely role, that Tyler Barron role that he's going to play this year. That's kind of how I foresee him. But Tennessee looks to be in good shape there. In-state guy, I think he liked playing for the University of Tennessee, but he is definitely high on the board for Rodney Gardner. Likes him a lot. Tim Banks likes him a lot as well. All right, full show here today. We talked about the commitment of 5-star quarterback Nico Iamaleava. Had messed it up all day, right? We heard some comments from Austin Price when he joined us on Sports 180 on The Sports Animal, and we took your questions for a Twitter Tuesday. Fun show. We'll continue to break down Nico as the week continues. We'll get back to the basketball conversation. We'll talk about the start of spring practice as it starts today, and looking forward to it. It's been a fun week shows so far this week, but it will only get better. Locked On Vols, your first listen every single day. Locked On NFL Draft, Eric Crocker and Ryan Tracy give it a listen, bringing the NFL front offices to life, breaking down college prospects, all that and more. Make that your second listen, the Locked On NFL Draft. Guys, thank you so much as always. Please go subscribe on YouTube. We are less than 50 away. Thank you so much as always for your support, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, everybody.